There's no better time than now, waiting for the right deal. Just like waiting for the train to go by. Especially if those deals could be hidden. Literally behind buildings. In what you could call an industrial park. And that's what brings us back to synergy. Because seeing some of this might trigger something. Something you're not looking for right now. You may come across something and be hard to pass up. I mean, check out the 2-player pawn. Didn't expect to see this here. Some new stuff since we've been here. They do have a Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe. The Yoga Flame was here. Looks like 2 Yoga Flames now. Casinocade. Look at the iArcade. The Retromania. Looks like they sold the head-to-head pawn, and the Class of 81 is here. Kind of getting the rooms mixed up. There is another. There's a Babycade right next door. I just saw a display Infinity Game Board. Yeah, Retromania Wrestling though. Not seeing prices on a lot of this. Some of this stuff we do have to ask, but let's feel a little loose just for posterity though. An iArcade. Wonder what games are on here. When I was walking in, I saw the 32-inch, $600, just hanging out in the window here. We saw this on display last time, the 18.5. But they do have a 32 on display. Did see one of these set up at Apt with the legs. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They do have a couple on the floor too. A couple of Mortal Kombats. We saw the Deluxe. They do have the Legacy, actually another Deluxe right behind it. 2 Deluxe here. That's crazy. I mean, these just showed up. You saw the Fast and Furious right around the corner. As employees only kind of had to be hush-hush about it. But Marvel vs. Capcom. Now this is, here's a good example. Look how clear this TV is. This is a good example of maybe Marvel vs. Capcom isn't on, you know, your radar. Like you're not really looking for this. They think this is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. They're saying $5.99. Clearly, it's the first one. I mean, no coin door. Come on. Who's making out that list? Seeing something like this, waiting for a new release. You know, we have a month, 2 months until we see something. Now, we did see the new Deluxe, the first Deluxe for 2024. We'll get into that in a second. But seeing something like this, getting it for the right deal. Not really looking for Marvel vs. Capcom. Would you be interested? You know, you're getting that itch like you want another arcade. Clearly it works fine. The sound's there, the marquee's lit up. This is the time to pick up a lot of these cabinets that have been sitting around in inventory. And right behind us, they've moved most of the Arcade1ups back in this room. Pac-Man Deluxe, asking $375 for this. A couple NFL Blitz, a Wheel of Fortune Casinocade on display. We've seen some of these, the Pac-Mania, the last time we were here, but they have shuffled over the head-to-head, the Pawn, Mortal Kombat 2, and seeing the Ms. Pac-Man head-to-head countercades, $200. So I'm guessing that Pawn is probably going to be similar to that price. They're probably rating this. The thing is, it's a steep price for this, but what they're probably saying is, where are you going to find a Ms. Pac-Man Arcade1up countercade head to head? There is a value to that, you know, that powder blue. And you know, I think the general feel is people know that, are these slowly turning into collectors, you know, hard to find items while we're waiting. I mean, it's just, do you get intrigued by coming like a head-to-head pawn table? Something that I did say I was interested in, and actually seeing this on Marketplace for the first time is where I found out about this place. It's what brought me here originally, only to come across the most Arcade1ups I've ever seen in any single place. I mean, look over here. More NFL Blitz, Class of 81, Wheel of Fortune Casino-cade. I mean, they just keep going. And seeing the $350, so it does vary. I think the one we saw in the other room, $250, it was completely assembled. But you know, if we go online right now, go to like Kohl's, probably coming up at $3.99. They were $2.99, now they're $3.99. So they're knocking $50 off if you buy here. I think there's a little wiggle room for negotiating, but for the most part, you might come across something like. And that's what I'm doing. That's what brought me here. I wanted to see what else they had since the last couple of weeks that I was here. What sold? I don't see X-Men anymore. We just saw the Fast and Furious. There were some boxes on the other side the last time we were here, but yeah, they do have more than what was here last time. I am looking for other cabinets. You know, there's cabinets that I'm looking for. And then there's cabinets that are going to strike me, like, not this head-to-head, but the pawn right around the corner, Countercade. You know, not expecting to see that. That's something that I have been watching. But still, even if this was $149.99, it's a little high. Like, to get it under $100, I think it's a good time to pick something like that up. And even though this is in Milwaukee and you may be living, you know, way out of state, Florida, out west, seeing some of this might give you an idea of, yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking for this, but now that I see it, like, you know what, I could squeeze in another arcade, or I could sell, you have the Midway Legacy, I could sell this and pick up something else. That's what I'm thinking. Like, and I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing. What can we get while we're waiting? Because we got a month, 2 months, and in the arcade world, you know, the home arcade hobby, that's a long time to wait. You know, some of us, done it myself, you know, picked up several cabinets in that amount of time. A long-viewed NBA Jam Countercade. Seeing this one at that Kohl's, if you remember episodes back. Yeah, just a ton of new Countercades here this week. Sold so well at the end of 2023, you expect to see more of these this year. But seeing some of these, if you can get it at the right price, you know, this is the first thing we saw walking in here. Well, we'll definitely keep our eye and be back soon. I think once a month, just keep our eye on what's showing up here. There are a couple that I'm looking for, but like I said, you might come across something like this pawn that you weren't really looking for and thinking, hey, you know what, that's a good idea. Maybe, you know, I wouldn't mind having this. And they do have the overstock warehouse rummage on the other end of the building, opposite side, Saturdays only, 8 a.m., 12 p.m. But I am told, and we were here about a month or so ago, I am told that the majority, there's one Pac-Mania in there, all the Arcade1ups are on the end of the building. That's the spot to be looking for those, and they get it about every month. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks and we'll see if there's anything new. And the only challenging part is making it here before they close. They are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Unfortunately, not Saturdays, and as you can see, they're already closed. It's after 5. Welcome to this week's Walk and Talk as a recording of this Saturday, January 28th, 2024. Just saw Synergy. It's a good time to buy stuff, okay? It's a good time to keep your eye on some of these cabinets like we saw at Synergy, because we're gonna play a little waiting game on new releases, even though we do have one new Deluxe so far this year. We'll get into that in a second. But you know, something that you think you want, let's say Golden Axe for me, and then we come across something just like that pawn head-to-head, whether it's the cocktail cabinet or the Countercade, kind of puts this idea in your head like, yeah, the price was right, Bob Barker, you know, I'd probably pick it up. And I already got the date wrong. It's the 27th. We are doing this on a Saturday. Last night, Friday night, the 26th, Today's the 27th. We went to Synergy to get the initial first clips of this walk and talk because they're not open on Saturdays. We saw that. I have something that's come to my attention on Nostalgia Power this morning. Bad Guy Mike Worley, Jester Tester, Sod Rider. Something, and I'm gonna give credit to Countercade. This is gonna blow your mind. It's gonna change everything about the 3/4 scale Arcade1up with the risers. You're not gonna believe this. Let's head into Best Buy. Actually hoping that I came across one of the two cabinets that I am waiting for. Excuse me. But like I said in the parking lot, we might see something. You might see something on Marketplace, you know, on sale, on clearance somewhere, even going in somewhere like Best Buy or Walmart, seeing something going, yeah, that's a good idea. I might pick those up. Check that out. Bunch of Big Buck and Casino-cades. And they do have a Pac-Man. Because sales are popping up, and we did see an excellent price on Big Blue earlier last week for just over $300. Best Buy is going to be notorious for doing these types of sales, especially those 24-hour sales. And since the last time we were here, still the same amount, the 4 Casino-cades, the Big Buck Hunter, Wheel of Fortune Casino-cade currently on sale for $499.99. We're just looking right from up there, my favorite view to look down on this Best Buy. These have been sitting for a while. Guess it's kind of like a reoccurring thing for this episode. Just keeping your eye on stuff like this. I mean, I know it's probably got to come down a lot more for, you know, people to make the decision. But there's a ton of Casino-cades out there. Big Buck Hunter Pro on the other side. It's a different vibe. It's a shooting game, you know, with the buy stuff mod. We can do other things to this. This is going to hold its value. You know, only having Terminator 2, Time Crisis, the first Big Buck, you know, whether you have the riser, the Peasant, the Classic, or this, I mean, there's not too many of the Big Buck. And, you know, with the limited deluxe cabinets we'll see this year, back to that whole game of chicken, like who's going to be more stubborn? You know, who moves first? Having these sitting around waiting for stuff, people might just say, darn it, I'm going in, I'm going to pick this up. And we have our first image of the newest deluxe, actually the first deluxe of 2024. You've guessed it, it's a Pac-Man. It's the Oreo themed Pac-Man. I know you've seen this. It's been all over. Interesting thing is that Countercade. So not only are we getting the deluxe, we're getting that Countercade too. Now I think the two go well together. I can see it, you know. The Oreo Pac-Man. I mean, it doesn't get much more Americano than that, does it? I mean, this has got nostalgia written all over it. I see what they were doing here and I like it. Pac-Man sells more than any other arcade. They're gonna cash in on it. I can see it. And you know, for us, we're saying we don't like, you know, I get it. You know, how much do you want an Oreo themed Pac-Man cabinet? Is this something that interests you? It may not interest us, but to get other people, you know, to come in Best Buy, let's say they had this set up here. That's what they're doing. They're selling cabinets, and we need them. I'm walking around with Oreos in my hand. We need them to sell cabinets, just like the Wheel of Fortune Casino-cade. This is the same type of example on why they made this. A lot of people think, you know, I have no value for this whatsoever, but it's attracting a different customer. So does Oreo. But this is exactly why we see what we see. We see the Wheel of Fortune. We see Oreo themed Pac-Man because they gotta sell. And we're still gonna get, you know, our releases, but we'll see stuff like this too, especially this year for Arcade1up to go forward. Just look behind me. If you put stuff here, it's gonna attract all different age groups, and that's why we're gonna see Oreo themed Pac-Man in 2024. And that mind-blowing announcement for Arcade1up, we had to come to this Best Buy, not just any Best Buy, this one's special. and I'll show you why in a second. Plus, I don't think we've been to a Best Buy for a couple of walk and talks. You know, we did that special one a couple of days ago about the Alien vs. Predator. Looking at the risers for Arcade1ups, we all have them. What if we could take those risers and make them look one piece here? Look at that. It's just like a Deluxe, but you can see that's a riser underneath. It has just occurred to me today that these existed, guys. I had no idea it would look one full piece. This is a peasant version Street Fighter 2. Look at that. Who brought this up today?
Okay, the Countercade.
On Nostalgia Power, we were talking G.I. Joel.
Absolutely beautiful.
Look at that.
Like,
I had
that's
no
a finished
idea.
cabinet, yes.
Danny was talking about Bliss. I said there's no way. There is a way.
It was so funny. You were like, no, there's a Yoga Flame. I'm like, no, I've seen this before.
This is mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing,
This is all Countercade. That's why I came here.
This is literally a game changer.
The Killer Instinct and the Blitz that are right over there.
Can you imagine?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How much he's gonna charge for this? We got to get a price.
100%. Let's go, G.I. Joel.
We got to get the word out and build the popularity. I mean, how many people would be interested in this? Great build and display over here. Look at this Batman and the whole NASA setup here. Space shuttle. Pretty cool. Great displays at this Best Buy. Just imagine if we had flush risers. It would just be like a Deluxe. I'll have a link for G.I. Joel's website in the description. Right now it's just the stands for those Countercades, but who knows? Maybe we could see 3/4 scale stands that are flush. Make them Deluxe. And Countercade just asked if I was gonna go. I don't know why all the Arcade1ups are off at this store. There we go. Countercade asked if I was gonna go to McDonald's, and no, it's not a bad idea. I do have a gift card, and it reminded me to use that app. You're gonna save. I think you said, did you say 30%? Just for confirmation, is it 30% off for the gift card for the
McDonald's app?
McDonald's
Yeah,
app?
100%. You only, when you get McDonald's, you go through the app. 100%, 30% off is the only coupon you should be using.
Even on extra value meals, it works.
Yes, and literally, oh thank heaven for PD7. Let's go, dude.
Yeah, we'll stop at McDonald's, try that app, and save 30%. All right, we'll take Countercade's advice and use the McDonald's app and run inside and pick it up. Yeah, and clearly it's telling you, you know, use the app, get the rewards, and from here on out, it's exactly what we're gonna do. Look at this, double up the Big Mac, 4 patties. All right, we got the Dr. Pepper and Big Mac meal. Went with the large. We'll leave a link in the description for G.I. Joel Gaming and a video from Stock Jock on his Yoga Flame. How he basically turned it into a Deluxe. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? I think we're onto something. We could change out our entire riser system and make it look like a Deluxe. Almost went with the double Big Mac, to be honest with you, but the large fry, the large soda, I thought that would be enough. Next time, we'll get the double Big Mac. I mean, we gotta try it at least once, right? So I happened to stop back at Target, back by the adult action figures, the collectibles, and I said, you know, if that Toonie comic Superman was still there, I would pick him up the next time. There were 2, so yeah, we went ahead and grabbed Superman. Also, went with Leonardo. They did have Michelangelo and Raphael, and another Leonardo. Probably would have got Donatello, but went with Leonardo. He was my first turtle. Main reasons I went there for those Fright figures, Ghostbusters. Unfortunately, they were all gone. I missed out on it, so this is what we got. And that Oreo. Am I wrong, guys? Is it just one cabinet? One Countercade, one cab? Just one?